Hello students, welcome back. And today we are going to have the lecture 4. And today's lecture we will cover certain topics, namely Coulomb's theorem, in which we are going to see the definition for field in the premises of charged conductor. We are going to see the statement for that in the name of Gauss theorem. Then we will define the terms potential, difference, the associated mathematical expression. Now let us start with Coulomb's theorem. So this is lecture number 4. Let us start with Coulomb's theorem. Coulomb's theorem, it gives the definition for the electric field near a charged conductor, so that this Coulomb's theorem will give us the electric field denoted by E near a charged conductor. So it is the Coulomb's theorem is the statement that tells you how an electric field will be near the charged conductor. According to Coulomb's theorem, the statement for electric field is electric field near a charged conductor is equal to 1 by epsilon naught times the surface charge density on the surface. Electric field near a charged conductor is equal to 1 by epsilon naught times the surface charge density. This is denoted by sigma on the surface. That is, we can denote E, that is equal to 1 by epsilon naught times sigma, or you can write simply E, that is equal to sigma by epsilon naught. And this is the statement of Coulomb's theorem. Let me repeat. Coulomb's theorem that gives the statement for electric field near charged conductor, which is equal to E is equal to sigma by epsilon naught, where E is electric field, sigma is the surface charge density, and epsilon naught, already you know that permittivity of the free space, which has the value epsilon naught 8.854 into 10 power minus 12 Coulomb square per Newton meter. Hope you have remembered this. How to prove this? What is the proof for this statement? So proof for Coulomb's theorem. In order to prove Coulomb's theorem, let us consider a small Gaussian surface of a charged conductor. Say for example, if this is the charged conductor, if this is the charged conductor, let us consider a portion of a surface. So it is essentially a charged conductor and it is on the cylindrical shape. We will consider a top surface, a portion of the top surface of one such charged conductor. Let me draw that. It is the part of some surface, it is a curved surface. Let me consider one portion of a charged conductor. Let me denote as S, where S is a Gaussian charged conductor. What do you mean by Gaussian? Gaussian means this surface is uniform in its nature. It is an uniform surface, right? And this surface has a charge density sigma. So sigma is the charge density at the surface. So it is denoted by surface charge density. So sigma is the surface charge density. It has sigma. Right? Now let us consider 2 points from the surface. One point above the conductor, conducting charged conductor, 1 point below the charged conductor. So let me denote this point as P and this point as Q. Now let me consider a surface. This surface is also Gaussian surface whose cross-sectional area would be capital A. Let us consider a similar surface at the point Q. Now, if we join these two surfaces, we would have a cylinder. Joining two surfaces which are created at the point P and Q will yield us a cylindrical shape. Okay. Now, see, there are certain things that we have to tell now. Point number 1. If we consider a charged conductor, the electric field E within the charged conductor is 0. So electric field E is 0 everywhere inside the charged sphere. If so, then the flux pi at this surface. What is electric flux? Electric flux is nothing but the number of lines crossing a particular plane of surface. Flux is nothing but number of lines passing through a plane of surface. Number of what lines? Number of electric field lines. As there is no electric field within this charged conductor, then electric flux at the surface which is lying at Q, which is equal to 0. So pi at Q, which is equal to 0. This is point number 1. And point number 2, in a charged conductor, the electric field always directed outward. Okay, so electric field is always directed outward from the charged conductor. In that case, the electric field lines, the electric field component will be parallel with the surface, so that see the E will be directed normal. E will be directed normal to the charged conductor. Hence, it will be parallel to the surface. Hence, flux at surface is also 0. Hence, electric flux at the surface is also 0. So that electric flux in this surface area, cross-sectional area A lying at the point Q is 0. Similarly, electric flux at the surface area is also 0. Now the remaining part is electric field at this surface. There is a cross-sectional area, there is a cross-sectional surface area which is Gaussian nature, that is located at point P, which is situated outside the charged conductor. That will contribute for electric flux, so that electric flux 5 at A, not A, 5 at P, that is present. It is present, that we can calculate. Okay, so that in this surface we can write electric flux as pi, whose equation is E dot ds. Here, see, this is, if we consider this surface, this surface, and ds is the normal to the cross-sectional area. This is surface component, and electric field component will also be lying in this direction, because electric field lines are always directed normal to the conductor. In that case, this is the perpendicular, so this is E. So here we have to take E vector dot ds vector, both are parallel, so angle between E and ds is 0, so that integral of E dot ds dot cos 0, which becomes integral of E dot ds, and that is nothing but this electric field component multiplied by the cross-sectional area. This is equation number 1. Now, net charge over this surface. Net charge over this surface, that we can write. It is nothing but, if you want to calculate the charge on a surface, it is simple. You have to multiply the area within which you want to calculate the net charge multiplied by the charge density, that is charge per unit area. So charge per unit area, charge density multiplied by the total area, sigma A, which is equal to equation 2. And this is net charge Q. Now according to Gauss law, We can write the flux over an enclosed surface will be charged by epsilon naught. Now we can write, this is the Gauss law. So this you can write E dot ds. So according to Gauss law, phi is equal to closed integral of E dot ds, that is equal to q by epsilon naught that we have discussed. And here we have an expression, product of electric field and cross sectional area in the place of closed integral of E dot ds. So comparing this equation, equation number 3 and equation number 1, equation number 3 and 1 give us EA, that is equal to q by epsilon naught. And now net charge q is equal to sigma a, so that you can replace q with sigma a, so that sigma a by epsilon naught, you can cancel out a and a, remaining is E, which is equal to sigma by epsilon naught. So electric field is equal to 1 by epsilon naught times the surface charge density. So this is the proof for Coulomb's theorem. We have considered a Gaussian surface of a charged conductor in which we have denoted 2 points P and Q, one above the conductor, one below the conductor, equal distance from the surface. And we have considered a cross-sectional area A around the point P and the point Q. Now the electric field is zero everywhere within the charged conductor, so that the flux at the point Q is zero, and the electric field lines are always directed normal to the charged conductor, so that there is no component for flux at the surface. So the only possibility for calculating electric flux is at the surface located at the point P, where we can notice that the surface normal component ds and the electric field component E vector both are directed in the same direction, so that the angle between these two is zero, so that if you write the equation for flux, which is equal to closed integral of E dot ds, that becomes electric field multiplied by the cross sectional area, which is equation 1, and net charge at the surface area A is nothing but the charge per unit area, which is nothing but the surface charge density multiplied by the total area. Applying Gauss law, we can write pi is equal to closed integral of E dot ds, which is equal to q by epsilon, and substituting EA in the place of integral of E dot ds and substituting sigma a for q will give us E, which is equal to sigma by epsilon naught. Hence, the statement, according to Coulomb's theorem, electric field near a charged conductor is equal to 1 by epsilon naught times the surface charge density on the surface is. Now, let us define what is potential. Potential. What does it mean? The term potential in electricity. See, in thermodynamics, the term temperature, it plays a vital role. What kind of role? The temperature of a one medium to the temperature of the another medium, that will determine the amount of heat flow, the nature of heat flow. See, if there is a medium here, if there is another medium here, if this medium has the higher temperature than this medium, if it has a lower temperature, then the heat will flow from this medium to this medium in order to maintain an equilibrium temperature. Similarly, let us have another example. What we can say, assume that you have two water tanks, one at higher, another at lower. Now this water level, this is at higher level, this is at lower level. This level determines how the flow will be, water flow will be between these two tanks. If the level is higher, then the flow will be, the rate of the flow will be higher. If the level is almost equal, then the rate of flow will be lower. In that way, here this term potential and the potential difference will play a role of determining the flow of electricity from one body to other body or one point to another point. Okay, let us define how it to be defined. See, let us consider a charge, a positive charge plus Q, which is located at the origin O. From this point, at a certain distance, let us mark a point A. See, if there is a charge and around this charge there will be an electric field, as like if there is a fire, then the heat will be experienced for certain distance. Similarly, if there is a charge, then the electric field will be experienced. Now this A is located in the premises of Q so that it can experience an electric field E. Okay, now we are going to infinity in this direction. Far away, from far away, we are going to pick up an unit charge, unit positive charge, and we are bringing unit positive charge from the infinity and slowly bringing back to the point A. When this positive charge coming into the vicinity of the electric field, it will start to experience an repulsive force because there is a positive charge here. Positive will oppose each other so that it will experience a repulsive force, right? And amidst this force, we need to overcome and we need to travel towards this point A, right? So essentially we need to done a work to bring an unit positive charge from infinity to the point A, where A is located in the vicinity of the electric field that is coming out of this charge plus Q. Now we can define this work done as potential. This work done, what we have done to bring an unit positive charge from the infinity to the point A is defined as potential, electric potential. That is, electric potential at a point is defined as the amount of work done in moving an unit positive charge from infinity to that point without acceleration. Without acceleration against this electric field. Right? Electric potential is denoted by capital V at a point here A is defined as the amount of work done. Work done is denoted by W. Amount of work done. When it is done, how it is done? Moving an unit positive charge from infinity to this point without putting any external acceleration, and we are doing this work against the electric field of this charge plus Q. So that is the formal definition for electric potential. If this charge is positive, then the potential at point A will be positive. If this charge is negative, then this potential at A will be negative. With this understanding, let us define, and unit of electric potential is volt. Volt is the name of the scientist, so that it should be written with the first letter capital. Okay, the unit of the electric potential is volt. Now with this understanding, let us define what is 1 volt. 1 volt. How to define 1 volt? Suppose if you are bringing 1 coulomb of charge. You are bringing 1 coulomb of charge from further distance to a particular point A, right? For example, somehow from infinity you are bringing 1 coulomb of charge to point A. To do that, if the work done is the work done is 1 joule. If the work done is 1 joule, then the potential at this point A will be 1 volt. Then the potential is equal to 1 volt. Okay, let me repeat. We are bringing a charge from farthest distance. The charge is 1 coulomb. We are taking in 1 coulomb charge from furthest distance to the point A. For doing this work, we required 1 joule of energy. We are spending 1 joule to do this work for bringing 1 coulomb of charge from furthest distance to point A. If this is so, then the potential at this point is said to be, potential at point A is said to be 1 volt. Got it? Right. Now, you see, you are telling that domestic supply has 230 volt, 50 hertz. Okay, we are not going into this. 230 volt. We have defined 1 volt. Then how do you understand 230 volt? Isn't it? Good. What you have imagined is correct. There are 2 points, A to B. Now, if the potential is said to be 230 volt means, then if there is a 1 coulomb of charge at point A. To bring this to point B, we need to spend 230 joules of energy. If 1 coulomb of charge requires 230 joule energy in order to bring this charge 1 coulomb from the point A to point B, then this potential will be said to be 230 volt. Right? In that way you can understand. Let me stop here and we will resume back in the next video. Until then, thank you.